Author and filmmaker Allison W. Gryphon is a very healthy person. She eats well, she exercises all the time, and at the age of 38, she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Allison, how did you look and feel good as you went down the road of breast cancer and chemo?
When I was diagnosed, I decided to fight rather than give myself over to the cancer, and the biggest thing for me was fighting with food, fighting with exercise, and fighting with a positive attitude. I really didn't want to be sick. I really didn't want to have any side effects, and I really wanted to feel good and make the most of my life every day. So I fought my fight with diet, exercise, and I demanded a positive attitude of myself every day.
Why are diet, exercise, and attitude so important for a person going through breast cancer and chemo, such as yourself?
I think everybody's different, and I always say you get to do the cancer thing any way you want to, because it is the most devastating and life-changing news that most people will ever have. But for me, you know, food, we are what we eat. And food can make such an impact on how you feel both physically and mentally. And even if something doesn't sound good, a lot of times it'll make you feel good. In terms of exercise, moving your body, it helps, you know, gets the blood flowing, it gets the tension out, it keeps us alive in many ways. And for me, it wasn't just the physical element of exercise, it was the mental element. And believe me, there were days when I got up the morning after chemo and I didn't want to go to the gym at all. I didn't want to do anything. And I would get up and I would put on some kind of motivating music to get me there. And I took it on like a prize fighter, and I would go there and push myself. And I found that it was almost like getting a massage sometimes, because the chemicals that are running through your body during chemo and all the different things you're putting into your body through surgeries and things like that, you know, there's bad stuff in there too. There's good stuff that's getting rid of the cancer and helping you, and there's bad stuff in there too, and exercise helps detox that out. So I think it's a detox for your mind and body.
During chemo, many women choose to wear a wig or a scarf or bandana, you name it, and yet you chose to wear nothing to cover your head. I find that very daring. Why did you do that?
I was very afraid of losing my hair. I was also very empowered by how close cancer brought me to myself. And walking around with no hair and one breast under construction in the middle of the summer, in the middle of Southern California, is very empowering. And I shaved my head on July 1st, surrounded by my amazing friends. And it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. The anticipation was more scary. And what I found when I walked out that day and spent 4th of July weekend in crowds doing all of the things that we do, going to the grocery store, going to the gas station, going to work out, I was received with so much love and more empowerment. It was really beautiful. People are pretty powerful, and walking around with no hair, complete strangers would walk up and smile or wave or say something phenomenal to make my battle even easier. So where I think some people think it might have been really scary for me to walk around with no hair, it was at first, but in many ways I got so much out of it because of the love and support it invited. It was just really amazing.
Let's move forward to the Why Foundation. What is the Why Foundation?
Well, why is the big question. I think when we all get the cancer in our lives, whether that be a diagnosis that we have or a friend, and why is just the big question. So the Why Foundation is a little organization that will be a resource for people that's easy to read, easy to understand, not unlike your website, where you can go and get quick answers to top questions about cancer, cancer treatment, and
then you have this thing called a fighter bag. What is it?
A fighter bag came out of the fighter bag that I made for myself when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. What we find is there's a lot of things medically. There's a lot of things we need emotionally, and there's not necessarily a checklist out there for all of those things. A fighter bag will work all on donations. They will be available to anyone who has a diagnosis. And what it is it's full of things that you need going to the doctor, going to the hospital, and just taking care of your general life. Things like bathrobes, things like tape recorders so you can record your conversations with your doctors because there's a lot you need to remember. Notebooks so you can take notes. Little coolers so you can bring your lunch to the doctor with you because, as you know, we spend a lot of time in doctor's offices waiting. And all those little things that you find you need when you're diagnosed that will nickel and dime you and don't necessarily come with the medical packet of what you're going to need.
Allison, as you're going down the list of what's in this fighter bag, I'm thinking, I had that, I had that, I had that. That's awesome. So tell us about some of the books you've written.
I had never planned on writing anything except supernatural thrillers, and then I was diagnosed with breast cancer and I decided to do a couple of things. I'm in the midst of completing a book called How to Do the Cancer Thing for Friends, Family, and Coworkers. That's a go-to book full of bullet points of how to support someone and how to support yourself. And it's not a book that you have to necessarily read through in chapters. It's a quick look book. I'm also writing a book about what it's like to have breast cancer day to day. And it's fiction, obviously inspired by a lot of nonfiction, but it starts out with the day a young woman named Sally finds a lump in her breast and follows her daily journey all the way through the end of radiation and ultimately through her last day of radiation, which turns out to be a day when she finds out another friend of hers has just been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Now I understand you also have a documentary in the works. What's the name of it, and tell us a little bit about it?
The documentary that we're filming right now is called What the F is Cancer and Why Does Everybody Have It? And that was my big question. It's a very provocative title, I think, and fitting for a very provocative disease, unfortunately. And what the movie is intended to do is to start a dialogue among people about what cancer is. It's the documentary that I would have liked to have seen when I was first diagnosed. It's 90 minutes of here's what you can expect physically, emotionally. Here are things that people have been through. Here are interviews with doctors of Eastern and Western medicine, with people who have experienced different kinds of cancer, with people who have taken care of people going through different kinds of cancer. And if anyone has seen The Inconvenient Truth, that became our go-to place to learn about global warming. Before that, it was this really big idea that was hard to get your head around. And I think cancer is a really big idea that's hard to get our heads around. So in this 90-minute documentary, I'm hoping that we can get our head around what it means to have cancer and start a dialogue so we can take care of each other and better fight it. We're due to complete filming in April. And the film should be done by the end of 2012 and start on the film festival circuit in January of 2013.
So through all this, what have you taken away from your cancer experience?
It's funny because cancer is the best and worst thing that's ever happened to me. So what I've taken away from it is perspective. Cancer's given me more perspective than I knew I could ever have on life. I always thought that I was doing the best that I could and living life to the fullest. And this diagnosis made me realize I was just hitting the edge of what could be. And life is beautiful, and I appreciate it on so many levels. And in a strange way, cancer's just been this beautiful gift. I have people in my life I wouldn't have had. I've learned things about myself that I wouldn't have known. So what I'm taking away from this experience is a lot. And I know that everyone who's been through cancer can't say that, and I'm very lucky. And that's part of what I'm taking away from it too, is knowing that.